Hello there, everyone. Long time no see. Not super long. Not super no see, but you know what I mean. As you know, I don't usually... The past couple seasons, I've been trying to avoid live streaming my matches while I'm playing them, my Apex matches on the weekend, because I tend to get distracted and then I use up all my backup time talking through moves. And then I have big numbers flashing on the screen while I'm trying to make decisions. So for the past couple seasons, I've basically been playing matches whenever I have time on the weekend, and then if there's anything interesting going on, I'll usually do a stream during the week like this, and basically just go over replays of my matches. Ends up being a little bit quicker, a little bit less stressful, but you all still get to see some of the sweet action. And this week, I've got some Transcender plays to show you. Not really Transcender plays, like, that makes it sound like the Transcender was a big important playmaker or something. But the bottom line is, I did put him back in the box for this weekend, and I did get to use him a few times, so that's something, right? Now, I wonder how quickly my bot in my Discord server posts the fact that I'm streaming. It's not up there yet, but it's not super important, who cares? It's just one tiny server for one tiny person. So yeah, I'm not gonna spend too much time getting set up here. You can see I've got my little setup screen on the screen, and behind it is another setup screen. A little hidden no peeking screen, and that's because I don't want you to know the results of these matches in advance. Obviously, if I'm going into my game summary, it shows all the wins and losses. But for the sake of at least making this a little bit interesting, since I don't win every single match I play, I'll keep that hidden until I get into ban pick, and then I will unhide the screen, just so there's a little bit of dramatic tension, you know. We're not 100% sure who's going to win these matches, right? Okay, got my chats up. And I've got the pre-stream pre-poured, so no fizzy ASMR tonight. Just me talking into my glass. I'll give 1 second for my guildies to realize I'm streaming, and then I'll get started. Okay, let us hop into the first match. And the first game is against Tranforce. Now, Tranforce is a good player, and I played them during, I think, the last season of the Summit der Langrisser, and they beat me. So, seeing this name pop up with the ever-intimidating early season Apex frame, I was ready for a tough battle. So as you can see, my box is relatively unchanged from what I've been running previously. I've got IBC in here. I've got Archon, who's freshly 6 stars. The only change I made, I've got D-Hard in here, who's 6 stars. I did drop Emperor Autocrato, and because he's not 6 stars yet. So I put Transcender back in his spot. Obviously, the role that these two characters play is not really remotely similar. I mean, Transcender does have a big AoE, but it's not really disruptive at all. And he can't tank. But he's in there just because this is a Kong stream. So we'll get started with ban pick. I'm not exactly sure why I banned Hilda first there. Tranforce does have 2 more tanks, so that's not exactly a pressuring pick. But he does have several AoE options, so I don't know, I know he's going to want to get a tank, so maybe I was hoping he would pick one first after banning Hilda. I've been trying to go with IBC first for a lot of these games for the past couple of weekends, just to get a feel for how she plays, how she combos with some of my other characters. So Tranforce does go with Christiane first, and then I start banning out my usual DPS that I hate to deal with. Lucretia is a very common early ban for me. So I get Kyra, who combos just awesome with IBC. She gets a little bit of a soldier boost that she kind of needs for securing kills, and also the mobility, obviously. So Tranforce going ahead and locking up a tank and a healer early, which gives me the chance to get rid of a couple more DPS that could be problematic for me. So I get an Archon in play here as well. That's another benefit of that early Hilda ban, is I don't have to worry about not being able to pull anyone. So he gets his first AoE out here, and it's going to be Reen. And then, much to everyone's delight, I've got Transcender available for my 5th pick, but unfortunately I think this is the one match where I have Transcender available. I just couldn't pass up a 5th pick Sissy. Like, Sissy White is so versatile. Sorry, Transcender, I know I dangled that in front of a lot of people and then didn't end up picking him. And I leave Tranforce with the Act again for 5th pick. I figured he wasn't going to go with another tank. So let's just hop into the match. I'm not really going to like start and stop this or slow it down too much. We'll just kind of see how they play out live. I'm just going to quickly check one thing before I actually start the fight, though. Oh yeah, good. It looks like my my server did start up the stream too. I think this will be the link for you, Jenny. Oh, I hear Donut barking out in the background. All right. For the Twitch challenged, the YouTube link has been posted as well. And the two chats are connected, so anyone chatting in YouTube can see Twitch chat and vice versa. Thanks to the wonders of modern technology. Anyway, let's see what we got before I just let this start playing out. So we do have a Phalanx on Chris. That's to largely try to invalidate my Elwyn here. The Reen has his Arc Slash for long-range straight line. Other than that, the Bozel just has the 3C. He has his faction buff, so no other AoE for him. And I think my setup is mostly pretty standard here. So the only thing, I said I'm not going to start and stop a bunch, but I am going to stop right here just because this is a good demonstration of why IBC is so annoying. So here's Kyra's range now on turn 1. Assuming Tranforce doesn't hide his Bozel, I could just kill it right now. It also gives Archon a nice boost. Archon's able to get in and pull as well right now, assuming that Tranforce doesn't do any messing around, and assuming that I kind of want to throw Archon in there. But this is a lot of pressure for the first turn, so he's going to have to deal with that. So he does hide the Bozel, so I'm not able to get the kill right now. But I am able to position Kyra semi-aggressively so that she can reach pretty much anyone on his team at the start of next turn, because I do have turn priority as well. Now I'm able to rush in here, pull the Christiane, which gives me my Act again. And I take out that Reen, so that's one threat down already. Archon is in water, he has a revive. so he's in decent shape. He's able to take a hit. With Elwyn, I know he's not really going to put much of a dent in this Christian, but I figured I already have the pressure on Tranforce already, so I might as well get him into the action. Put some damage on the tank, just to create a little bit more pressure. I gave up turn priority by killing Reen, but this Bozel's not actually able to do too much disruptive. Kyra's still able to come in here, secure the kill, heal the rest of my team with no DPS left. That's it for Tranforce in this game. Should have waited to move Kyra. Oh, you mean on the first turn? Yeah, when I put that pressure on, like, with the second move. I could have moved her later on in the turn, you're definitely right. Especially since Sissy and Elwyn weren't doing anything on that turn, no matter what. I could have saved Kyra for, like, 4th or 5th action. So I'm just going to hide my screen again while I go back to the next game. Don't want to spoil the results. So far I'm 1-0 on the weekend with that win over Tranforce. And thank you for the follow, Jay Sanctum. Got a little Seal Guardian ready for you. Don't worry, you're not going to miss ban pick. Alright, so the second game is against Tradey, and this is someone who's on my friends list, so I recognize the name again. Anytime I recognize someone's name in this game, I figure I'm usually in for a tough fight. Partly due to my own skill level. But here we go. So, this time I'm going with my more common strat of banning out one of the annoying DPS first. That usually ends up being either Lucretia or Epsilon, depending on their team. And Tradey goes ahead and gets rid of my Hilda first, so I figure maybe there's going to be some Archon in play here. Hence me getting rid of him so early. Normally I don't think Archon really necessitates a super early ban, but I just had a feeling that Tradey was excited to start pulling me around. So I'm going with the usual IBC first pick. This is not necessarily something I advocate as being like the best strategy or anything. It's just that she's a new character to me, so I've been trying to practice with her, and first pick is a good way to figure that out. So Epsilon as a second pick is a good pick. He's just a well-rounded, awesome DPS. Now, Tradey is getting some real long-range, long-leg threats here. These guys are all long-leg threats, and obviously Tejas with the teleport as well can kind of put them right in my face right away. It's also obvious that I'm not going to have a tank, because my Sissy and my Hilda are both banned. So with Wetham on Tradey's team, he's able to make a turn 1 air slash play. So when I do set up, I'm going to have to be careful of my positioning. And this time I've got that dangling 5th pick Transcender, and I actually am going to go ahead and pick it this time. Just because I can't leave a 5th pick Transcender on the table 2 matches in a row. That would be absurd, especially for my fan base. So I'll just briefly pause to take a look at these units here, and then we'll let the game play out again. Unfortunately, Ally, or Ally, we are going to see the same heroes over and over again, like the all-so-common Transcender, who, you know, you see in every single game in Apex these days. The most dope. Tradey's strategy is boom, bust. Single tank, no healers. You know, that's not necessarily uncommon. This is probably more of a meta team than a lot of the ones that we might see later on, just because being able to send in one unit at a time and trade for your opponent's units, as long as you have a lot of DPS, then if you're trading smartly, you can come out on top of those trades. New Virash has been treating me well. Sanctum will have to watch and find out. So sure enough, he has Gargoyles, he does have Air Slash, so he's going to be able to make a play. The way he's positioned, Transcender is his main target here. But of course he also has T-Just for the teleport, so he can just move with him up a few spots and then pick his target. Other than that, I went with kind of a similar team that I went with last time. So let's just see how this works. We both got a lot of DPS. Oh, so he's going to go for Elwyn first. That's a fair play. Elwyn can be annoying. He's my longest-legged unit, if you don't count, like, weird Act Again stuff that Archon has. And he has a revive, but he nipped that in the bud by killing my Elwyn next to my team. So Elwyn's off the table already. I'm able to helpfully use this with him as kind of a springboard for Archon, so I run around him, pull him to me, and then I'm able to bounce off the other side and go in to kill this Rosalia. I had a choice to make there between Rosalia and Helena, both of his DPS that had yet to act. And I went with Rosalia just because I wasn't sure if my Archon was going to be able to kill this Helena. So it's not technically a trade yet. Oh, Transcender's able to get a kill! We're gonna see some whiffed kills, too, but that's a nice secured kill. Alright, so now that's a trade. Archon is dead, but it did require him to use his Helena and his T-Jess. So a little bit annoying, a little bit of a thorn in the side. Transcender can now use his HP swap to pull an Act Again off it. But unfortunately not able to kill that Zerida by about 1,000 hit points. That would have been so excellent to see. Ah! And part of that is because my Transcender's on Thorns here. So his int is not very high. I think at this point I have like 390 green int on that Transcender. He's really relying on the ability to double attack, or swap an opponent down to lower HP. Fortunately, on my follow-up, I am finally able to kill that Zerida, so Transcender, 2 kills in this match so far. And now he's finally down. So now we've got a battle of the faraway units. And Tradey knew that my Epsilon was well poised to be able to come get his T-Jess wherever she went there. He couldn't actually target my Epsilon yet. So that one's all over. Pretty good game there, I thought. That was a really nice, like, back and forth, unit for unit, like, DPS trade match. Transcender with new monks. I mean, technically Transcender has the new zombies, so he might have been able to get the kill with those too, but I like the Crystal Warlocks because with Dropnir he can also be a bit of a thorn in your opponent's side on their phase, so if they attack into him, sometimes they can take a lot of reflect damage and it's really disruptive. But the zombies are probably pretty good troop for him as well, especially since they recover. Let's hide the screen here and then go find my third match. So I'm 2-0 right now with that win over Tradey. There are a few things that could help Transcender get more kills, and one of them is definitely having more than 390 green int. Yeah, Light of Genesis, she definitely still shows up a lot. I took her out of my box just because, I don't know. The role that she plays in my box, I think she hurts me more than she helps me. She confuses me a bit. But that's a me failing, not a her failing. So now I have loaded in against Zknight, a Season 10 Lang frame already. I'm in Gold 2 at this point, mind you. So let's just see how band pick goes here. So Zknight is getting things started by banning out my Hilda. Technically my only tank. Keeping with the IBC first pick. He bans out Kyra and Lucretia, two nice, smart bans. They both combo quite nicely with IBC. And he secures his tank first. And a healer. Now, Assassins are kind of tricky early picks into Hilda just because she does block a crit. So you need a way to pluck that off her first before one of your assassins can usually do meaningful damage. I get a Sissy here, which is technically a physical tank, to kind of temporarily help me defend against that Elwyn. He's got Werner as well. And of course I'll get the 5th pick Transcender here. Archon, super useless against Hilda, who's already in play. So I didn't necessarily want to go with him. Transcender is going to have to carry the day again. Let's see if he can get 2 kills in this match. So this is a pretty threatening team. This is a much better pick and ban for my opponent than the previous couple matches. And I think he outpicked me here as well. There's definitely something that I can do, but I need to really rely on my assassins being able to get through that Hilda and kill 3 DPS, 3 strong DPS here. So let's see how it goes. Yeah, no Kruger for the opponent this time. It's an infantry Werner. Other than that, everything pretty standard looking. So I didn't pick what's his fixed damage skill in this match. That's going to come back and bite me, I think. And no pull on Transcender, obviously, against Hilda. Not super useful. So let's go. So my game plan is really going to be to hopefully be able to kill one of his units through that Hilda crit protection aura to get things started. Putting out a little phalanx bot early on, just because I know Elwyn is able to reach me early here, especially if I want to move up one spot like I did with Transcender there. But with a tank push team like this, like with Hilda and Rosenseal, I don't think he's necessarily going to expose his Elwyn on turn 1. He's not interested in trading one of his great DPS units yet. So Epsilon is hidden there. Part of the reason is to give me a foothold so that I can get in and reach that... Oh, this is a nice play. I'm able to reach to get the Act again off swapping Hilda's HP, and then run in and try to kill this unguarded Elwyn. But I missed the kill by 1500! Transcender failing me again. So we proc Thorns and the Crystal Warlocks, and again missed the kill on the Elwyn by 2000 hit points. Now that's kind of the straw that broke the Kong camel's back. I think after this match I switched him off Thorns, because I realized having him on Thorns cost me that initial kill on Elwyn there, and it didn't even get the counter kill. So 2 fails with Thorns not doing the job either way, that was enough for me. I decided to switch him to Full Moon after this match, so he can at least have some jacked up int and maybe get some kills. Now the reason I had to jump in with Epsilon there is that they took my shield away from me, so I felt it was kind of my last chance to be able to get that Werner, who I knew was in attack stance. So I got rid of him. But the trades are continuing apace, and they're not really trading in my favor. Now see there, if I had Sneak Attack, the second proc of fixed damage would have killed this Archon's second life. But since I didn't bring that skill, I have to use another attack to get him off the board. So now I'm down to just D-Heart and Sissy against a tank, a healer, and an Elwyn. So really my only hope at this point is to refresh D-Heart's skills while hiding him or keeping him alive or keeping him tanked by this Phalanx, to the point where I can then use his 3C again, and hopefully, this time, finish off the Elwyn with D-Heart's 3C. So that's the game plan now. Finish off Elwyn with D-Heart's 3C. Getting into position, got a nice breeze there. So we'll move up, we'll act again, now's my chance. Unfortunately, you can see here, Rosenseal's Empire buff took one of D-Heart's attack buffs. Not able to secure that kill. And really it's all over at that point. Elwyn can either get back into guard or just kill my D-Heart. D-Heart with no attack buffs and no skills is pretty useless. Let's just say it. Let's just say pretty useless. I keep things going for a couple turns here just to see how desperately I can try to get D-Heart back to safety. But I'm not gonna win this match. Yeah, the thing about Rosen's buff too is that D-Heart really only had like 3 or 4 buffs there. And 2 of them were important ones, so something was getting stripped, and pretty much whatever it was going to be something that made it so he couldn't kill Elwyn. So this match is all over. Alas, after this one, I'm 2-1. So let's move on to the next one. And thank you for the follow, by the way, Witchblades. Alright, that was Zknight who took the win from me. So we'll move into our next battle. Which is against Kaizhen. So yeah, you can see me early banning the Lucretia here. It's an annoying unit to deal with. She can do everything, pretty much. He first bans my healer. First pick Liana. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure if I fully understand that. It does give me the opening... Oh, I see now that this is a horse Chris, too. I didn't realize that before. But it does give me the opening to ban both of his real tanks. And pick Lucretia. So... he does still have some secondary tanking ability, like Jugler's a tank, obviously. But Lucretia can pretty much take care of Jugler. So that's a pretty strong pick against the not traditional tanks. And now I'm basically picking stuff that gives Jugler a hard time. So Wetham is pretty mean to Jugler. Yeah, Loomis, I don't really understand the first pick Liana. Like, I can sometimes understand if people really want to first pick a healer going with Rosen, but I don't know what Liana brings, like, against my box specifically, that even startled him into thinking he needed to pick a healer first. So he also has Licorice available as a potential healer, so even if I had first banned Rosen, he could have picked one of his healers second. And then I get another 5th pick Transcender, so 3rd game in a row with 5th pick Transcender. Unfortunately, he shat the bed in the last game, so we'll see if Transcender does a goddamn thing in this match. So let's just pause for a moment. Take a look at what the teams look like, and then we'll let it play out. So this is another interesting thing. He brings Werewolves and Faction buff on his Jugler. I mean, I guess the Faction buff is for the Lewin and the Luna. But the Werewolves, not going to be great against the Lucretia, at least. And these guys are going to be ignoring Jugler. Pretty much the only thing that Werewolves would be stronger against is my weapon. He also brings Stone Colossus on the Bozal. And that's even more baffling. Like, there's no one really in this team that Stone Colossus protects more against than any of Bozal's other soldiers. So I'm not sure if that was a mistake or if that was just the unit that he had on Bozal from before. Didn't have time to switch them. But we'll see how this one plays out. So my game plan here is pretty much going to be to try to avoid the Bozal at all costs. So that I can... Anytime I'm facing a Bozal, I know that my assassins are going to be able to kill him easily, so I want to try to position myself so that I can kill the Bozal before he gets to me, before he gets in range to use his 3C. Here I'm going to go ahead and try to take a pot shot at this Jugler. But because of those Werewolves, partly because of the Werewolves, Wetham's not able to secure the kill. I did clock that move. He's going to attack Wetham with his Luna, which is not going to do anything other than, I guess, prepare me for some help to get the kill. So just jockeying for position over here, getting Transcender ready to charge in at a moment's notice if need be. So he did have to use his Luna and act again on Liana and his Lewin in order to get rid of my Wetham. So even though I didn't get a kill, I feel like that was almost worth losing with him. Using the swap to get the act again and move in and pick up the easy kill on Jugler. Now I can't give Transcender too much credit for that because Jugler was at 20% health. But a kill's a kill. So way to go, Gizaroff. Moving Epsilon in a little closer. Transcender did his job. Well, hey! Welcome to the stream. Long time no see. Alright, Lewin does manage to come in and hit me with an AoE, but this just means it's my opportunity for Epsilon to get in there and 3C his Bozal. So, mission accomplished. I got Bozal off the table before he had a chance to do anything too damaging to me. And now I've got a big, thick Epsilon sitting on a wall here, so I'm not too worried about getting counter-killed. Now Lucretia can move in and do her thing against this Lewin. And functionally, that's the end of this match. Which, yeah, Kaizhen realizes that as well. All of his DPS are gone. So that puts me up to 3-1 so far for the weekend. Let's go find another match. What is... I think Transcender has 3 kills so far. Pretty good. Yeah, I forget if I switched him to Full Moon already at this point, or if I waited and did that after the Apex window closed. Pneumothorax, I wouldn't say it makes him exponentially better. Even if it did, making a crap unit exponentially better still just makes him kind of like a decent unit. But it is good on him, it's fine on him. And it kind of depends on what you're doing with your Transcender. Like, Glory of the World does something for him. I don't think I'm a huge fan of Glory of the World on him. If you're trying to bait him down to lower health so that you can swap. If you're using him as like a team support, then maybe a Tenyos would be better, unless you don't have any Tenyos. But it gives him a stack at the start of the map, and it does let him steal buffs, which, for someone like Transcender who doesn't really have any good jobs to do, running in and like popping that HP swap on someone to get your act again, if you can steal like an interesting buff, it can be annoying to like take something important off someone. This is actually 517. Oh, okay. Well, that might go some distance to explaining the eventual result of this match. No spoilers, but yeah, he bans my IBC first, so this is the first game where I actually don't get to first pick her. So I'm at a bit of a loss. I get Lucretia instead. And he's going with that Rosen first pick. And then he gets Auto second. So he does have a tank-ish creature. But I do have Lucretia, so having magic against Autocrato is pretty good. He gets IBC here. And then I've got another opportunity, 4th game in a row, to get 5th pick Transcender, so we'll see what he's able to do against a team like this. Yeah, I agree with Loomis that I don't think the Glory Hat healing is too valuable on him, but then again, like, the caveat to that is that there's nothing you can really do to Transcender to end up making him super valuable. Like, he's... As much as I love him, he's still a mediocre unit. And part of that is that the jobs he doesn't do well enough. Like, he has this awkward AoE. Like, it's a big AoE, but it always feels so unsatisfying to use. Like, it barely does damage, it barely does important debuffing. If you're using him to do an AoE on a few units, it kind of feels like a wasted move. His pull is super limited, especially compared to Archon. It's really hard to get him into position to do a meaningful pull. So he really is just all about that swap, the HP swap and bop. So yeah, we got a mean Autocrato here with the Shield Bash, and he also has IBC support, so getting to put extra mobility on him with his long-range 3C is very troublesome. This core of Auto, IBC, and Archon is especially annoying to my team. So I have a couple of strong DPS here. I put the wrong troops on Transcender, so they're not going to be super helpful. I did bring his pull in this game rather than strengthen, because I figured I might be able to just maybe get some use out of it. Pull someone closer to Lucretia or something. Anyway, let's see how it goes. Let's see what that auto can reach after that. He can come all the way up to here. So he can reach up to this row with his 3C. That said, even if he does that, I'm not super concerned about only being able to move in straight lines. I get the Phalanx out there just in case the auto scramble. Oh, he can actually reach farther than I thought. Oh, I guess that's because of Balance Blade, isn't it? Unfortunately, the Lucretia 3C not able to finish him off because he's on Overlord badge, so none of his debuffs procced. So we're basically just hiding and lining up now to make another attempt on the lives of these units that are getting sent in. Archon able to really meanly pull Lucretia away from her puppet there so she doesn't get a revive. I should have looked at that before I moved Werner down. So let's see what Transcender can do here. We'll swap HP, and we'll just try an AoE, since I don't think I was going to be able to get a single target kill on either of those guys, especially with these troops. Finishing off the Archon with fixed damage. We're still in decent shape here. I mean, IBC is obviously a threat in her own right at this point. She's not just a buffer, she's also a dangerous magical attack unit. She can also strip Epsilon's shields with her 3C. So I'm running Epsilon away to try to hide from her. Unfortunately, on my very next action, I didn't do anything with Epsilon, and I forgot that she could immediately run in and use her act again. And that's exactly what she does. And without that Epsilon, this is pretty much over at this point. My Werner is kind of in an awkward position. My Transcender is definitely not being very helpful. Let's see if I can make something work. Oh, the shield bash on auto, so annoying. Doesn't quite kill Werner, but it does take him out this turn. And he clocks the shield bash. I do have Werner under guard here at least. Transcender just unceremoniously erased there. Werner, without his little phalanx buddy, gets shield bashed again. And that's going to be it for Old Kong. Another loss. What's that, 3-2 now? So we're kind of up and down these last couple games. Win-loss, win-loss. Let's go grab another game. Alright, the next game is against Misterbug. With the Righteous Leaden avatar. You love to see it. Misterbug has a Landius and a Sage in the box, so interesting. We also have a Kruger. So there's a little bit of a potential AoE pivot here. First pick's Ham. And I do get my IBC first pick again here. Back to normal. Oh, he gets IBC as well. So I get IBC and Cairo, which is a really nice combo that I like. Not sure about that Rosenseal pick. And he gets a Landius as well. So now things are starting to shape up like more of a traditional tank push box. He's got his tank, he's got his healer, he's got an anti-crit aura from Landius. And he gets Sage as well. And I get 5th pick Transcender for the 4th or 5th game in a row. Let's see if he can actually get a kill this time. Last time, he was a sitting duck. This time, Transcender, we want to see some action. So let's take a quick look at what we've got. Oh yeah, we have Wetham against no tank again, so he's poised to be able to make a first turn pick on one of my units. So that's why I back-rowed my positioning here, to limit the units that he's able to actually come in and kill on the first move. Double AoE on Sage, so he doesn't have the faction buff. He doesn't really need it, he would only be buffing with him here. And we've got AoE on Rosenseal as well. So presumably looking for a way to pick Epsilon out of his shield, and then, or out of his hide, and then be able to follow up with someone. So let's see what Misterbug's opening is going to look like. Yeah, you're right, the most dope. The hope, or the trade-off for players picking tanks and healers like this against 5 attackers is that the tank has to make it so that my attackers can't do anything or can't do something important against his team. So if his Landius and Rosenseal here make it so that I whiff kills and then he can clean up, that's a benefit to him. Otherwise, you're right, it's kind of a 5-on-3. Landius is definitely good at that job, though. Like, he can make it difficult to crit, and for characters who rely on crit, that can be problematic. That said, oh, Kyra misses that kill by 300 hit points. She did get the crit there, too. So that was more of a my Kyra versus his with him problem. Although he would have had reduced incoming range damage there from Landius. So without Landius, I would have gotten that kill. So he makes a big sword play, and he comes in and is not actually able to kill my IBC with his Air Slash, and I am able to mop that up with Transcender. So that's another kill for Transcender. We're in good shape now. He really only has IBC and I guess kind of Sage as his DPS now. And I haven't really sunk anything into this setup yet. So I'm able to take a turn and just kind of hang back, get myself set back up, back into position, hiding my Epsilon because I don't want him to get hit with that Sage AoE. And I'm just going to look for another opening. Yeah, that was Spirit Boots Ham. I move in and AoE with Transcender here just to be a bit of a jerk. I know it's not going to do anything, like he can easily heal that back up. I didn't land any debuffs. It puts Transcender in range, but that's okay. Didn't really need him at that point. I guess I could have held him back and just not had him die for no reason, but... Transcender hubris, I guess. So we've still got Kyra, who actually does secure the kill this time. We still have Lucretia locked and loaded back here. And we still have this hidden Epsilon. He does crack me out of my shield. But it's my turn anyway, so I figure I'll run in and take out this Rosenseal. And now, to your point, the most dope. We're essentially at a point where I have 4 DPS units who basically just have to spend the rest of this game wailing on his tank until he dies. So, decent position there. Misterbug throws in the towel, and that puts me up 4-2. Another kill clocked for the Transcender. You love to see it. Alright, 2 more games left. This one against PinchesTheCrab, who is well known from the subreddit. I'm not sure if he still posts there regularly, but that's where I know him from anyway. So Pinches has an interesting box here, and the first reaction I had, we've got Luna, we've got Mariandel, we've got Deedlit, we've got Yulia. So a lot of interesting princess units, but no Lucretia for some reason. Kind of interesting. She would fit pretty nicely here. So another game where I'm going to lose my IBC first. Very sad. He first picks the Rosenseal. Yeah, I agree with that, Ally. Another part of that whiffed kill with Ham was because after he was almost dead, you know, with the 300 health, he decided to jump Ham and make that play right away instead of deciding to reset and try it another day. I guess once you've got a play like that in your head, and you see your opponent has no tank, you think, like, maybe I can go in and kill someone. IBC also wasn't the best target for that move because she's quite bulky, especially with Sand Seas. He might have been able to kill someone else, like he might have been able to kill my Kyra, for example. Alright, continuing on. He bans my Hilda. He's getting Deedlit out early here. And Elwyn. And he does get Otto out now. Now, this is another situation where Otto's kind of a tank, but he's not going to be used really as a meaningful tank in this fight, because I have magical DPS, and then I have a couple characters who ignore guard. So the team support thing that Otto does in this kind of situation is makes it so that for any hero who moves in to attack, his aura reduces the damage that you do. So picking up a third assassin. And he gets another kind of off-tank with Sissy. And now I've got Lucretia and 4 assassins. Apologies to Transcender. Sorry, bro. Maybe next time. So Deedlit is pretty mobile. He has Force of Will on Elwyn. That's something that's probably going to come into play in this match. Everything else looking fairly normal. Now, having no tank against an Elwyn and kind of a Deedlit, but mostly an Elwyn who has turn priority, I know he's going to be able to put him into position. You know, he can position him fairly aggressively so that he's able to then come in at the start of next turn and attack whoever he wants, if that's his choice. So I'm going to play kind of defensively and be extra wary in the back here, just until I see what Elwyn's going to do. So he's moved down. It looked like Werner is his target, so I'm going to move the rest of my team up to be away from him. Pinches gets a little Lancer out early and moves him up, presumably to secure a little bit of a future position for the units he plans on moving up. And let's see how he's going to open this turn. He's got turn priority. He's going to go with Deedlit first. So he's coming in and he's going for D-Heart. D-Heart actually survives that. Now, this was a mistake on my part. I got a little excited, I saw the Deedlit there, he procs the Forbidden Defender armor, but I might have been able to get that kill if I had actually moved D-Heart first. Because you can see I had the routing light, the lance that gives you damage up. If I had moved like 2 spots up to here and attacked her from there, the extra 10% damage might have been enough. Might have been enough to secure the kill. But I'll have to mop that up now. So I'll mop it up with Cherie. Unfortunately, that means I do blow her act again until I can refresh it next turn. But I'll move her back and hide her. So this is what I think Pinch's real strategy is going to be, to try to teleport someone around with that 3C and to put those fixed damage stacks on me so that I just kind of gradually kill myself in the back rows back here. But Lucretia being pulled forward isn't a huge problem because I have the puppet who can teleport her back. So we're still all hidden back here. He's lost his Deedlet. I'm going to kind of aggressively position here and put my Werner in defensive stance in case he wants to take the bait with Elwyn, but he doesn't. Instead, he's going to blast that 3C at me again, hitting 4 units. No clock this time. So I take a pot shot at him, but I'm not able to kill him with that Lucretia. She didn't have access to her Reaper because she used it to kill the little Lancer last time. And now he gets the Actagon on Elwyn, so this is where he's going to pull the trigger. He has access to pretty much all my units here. So who's he going to kill? Goes for Cherie first. And successfully nets the kill on Cherie. I just have D-Hard available now. So unfortunately, that means... Obviously I'm not going to be able to kill both lives. I'm not even going to be able to kill 1 life. So if he has turn priority with Elwyn in deep, he's able to get another kill. And he's going to go for the puppet. So puppet down. But now Elwyn's in deep with no skills. He's immune to these debuffs, and he procs Wind Wall, so I don't even get the first life with my Lucretia here. Now this is a little bit of a problem, and I didn't realize this until after this attack. I decided to take the initiative and go in and take his Rosen Seal, but that did heal his Elwyn because of his skill that he brought. And this is something that Pinches does that's pretty interesting. He summons this infantry to suicide it against my Epsilon, and that is to get rid of my shield, but also the infantry dying procs another heal on Elwyn. So I was kind of banking on being able to clean up Elwyn on my own time with my backline units so I don't have to worry about him, but the longer this goes on, the healthier this Elwyn gets. I haven't even gotten through 1 life yet. If I'm not able to finish him off, he's getting another kill next turn, and then I'm in trouble. So there you can see the heal again. Wind Wall procs, he heals up to 85%. Fortunately, my double strike from Werner is able to get the first kill. And then D-Hard has to get through 30% and barely does it. Barely does it. I got really lucky there. D-Hard almost letting me down. Otto does a lot of damage to himself against that Epsilon. I foolishly kind of run in full speed into that Otto aura, but I actually am luckily able to finish him off with fixed damage there. And that's enough for Pinches, bringing me to 5-2 for the weekend so far. And there's just 1 match left. So let's quickly hide this and back out and go find it. So good game, Pinches. That was actually a pretty close one. I think that game was closer than it looked. Just because there were a lot of opportunities where things, like, barely went my way, and if they didn't, I would have been in trouble. Okay, so the last game of the night is against Atzi. And this is another game where we've got another Mariendel, we've got another Bozel, another Licorice. We've got a Helena, we've got a Himiko. So we saw a couple Bozels tonight. Kind of interesting. Secures his tank first pick, though, and gets rid of my tank, so I don't know. Maybe he's not planning on playing AoE. I get my IBC. I'm getting rid of his AoEs anyway. Getting a couple units who can ignore guard, but again, we run into that situation that we had in the very first game I played, which was I'm starting to get these guard-ignoring assassin units that rely on crit against a unit that blocks crit, so things might get dicey for my DPS here. Lucretia comes in just in case I need to try to melt through this Hilda. But then he picks Chris as well, so now he's got 2 tanks. This one, much more difficult for Lucretia to melt through. And I'll go ahead and take that 5th pick Transcender again, just to close out the weekend. See if he can actually do some work for me this time. He's gotten a few kills. Normal ranged attacks are probably just the fairies, but I think his 3C is a ranged attack, so it's kind of all eggs are in the 3C basket for D-Heart. I think if you put a clothesline on him, he would do no damage whatsoever, because that reduces your damage dealt, and his damage dealt is already kind of sketchy as it is. Alright, so we've got a Horse Helena. We've got the double tank set up, Hilda with Templars to make her a little bit more immune to Lucretia. And then we've got a Fireball T-Jess. I guess the Fireball is to deal with the Sand Seas on IBC. So he's got 2 DPS, T-Jess and Helena. So my game plan basically has to be to somehow get rid of them. And I do have a couple of guard ignores, so my Epsilon and my Cherie are going to be... Their job is to get rid of Helena and T-Jess. Everyone else is here to support that end goal of Epsilon and Cherie killing Helena and T-Jess. Of course, I'm hoping that he's going to send his Helena in, away from the tanks. And it looks like that's what he's loading up to do now, teleporting her forward to come in and shiv and get a kill on one of my unguarded units. The act again on T-Jess there I can only surmise so that she can get her passive act again back quicker. He does come in with the Helena, uses the 3C, and he does kill my IBC before she even had a chance to buff anyone. Rip. But in a trade game, him losing 50% of his DPS units in exchange for one of mine is a pretty good deal. So I'll happily bring Cherie up and kill this Helena. So now I just have to deal with that T-Jess. And I do still have my 2 assassins. So we're still reeling from that Helena 3C. We're all pretty hurt, so we're going to back up for a little bit just to heal up. And that T-Jess is still a threat. Like, she does still have the ability to teleport herself or a tank forward and then bounce off that to use a spell on someone. So I'm trying to stay back as much as I can. Obviously, other than Epsilon, who's hiding now, so can't be targeted. Lucretia has 1 revive from the puppet and 1 revive from Glory of the World, the helmet. So now I'm going to make an attempt on Liana here. But no crit, and she was at full health with Shrine Maidens. Failed the kill. Now, my Epsilon's exposed, but fortunately he's still shielded. Oh, I spoke too soon. He's not shielded anymore. This little AoE talent thing strips his shield off. He's on a wall, at least. But T just decides to try for the Angel's Cherie instead of the Epsilon. Obviously not getting that kill on my Angel's Cherie. So Cherie runs behind enemy lines, finishes the job that Epsilon failed. Liana's down. And now she can come around, stun this Hilda. And thanks to 1-up, comes back to life, full health, no worries whatsoever. Alright, see, T-Jess is going to try that Epsilon now, but it's just Fireball. He's on a wall. He's fine. He's running away. He's going to get himself hid. Actually, he's not hiding because he's not at full health. I just didn't want him in the mix. Alright, this is an Overlord badge Christian, so no debuffs from that. It's just a bit of damage on Chris. And here's that T-Just play. Brings his tank up, and from that range, finally able to secure the kill on Epsilon, so I'm an Epsilon down. I might have to go to plan B, which is actually killing these tanks. Fortunately, they're both really hurt. So Lucretia takes the first life off Hilda. Christian's really low. Transcender's gonna come in. Not quite get the second life off Hilda, but he does get his shield broke. So Cherie's gonna finish this off instead. What can T-Just do now? Takes my first life off Lucretia. Survives with 58 HP! Oh, brutal. So Cherie settles for the second life off Christian, or the first life. Christian able to finish off my Lucretia, but then I'm able to just tap that 58 health T-Jess. And this is game over at this point. I think Atzi was just playing it out because this was after the window already closed. And I'm able to fully box him in. Here comes the fog. It's game over. Yeah, the most dope, the Overlord badge on Christian is really about the debuff immunities, pretty much specifically for Lucretia's 3C. Taking for granted, I guess, that Lucretia is going to be a common opponent, and you want to make your magically bulky tank even more magically bulky against your common magical threats. So that takes me to 6-2 on the weekend, and that's my last game. Pretty good record. Pretty good record for Old Kong. And that actually brings me to... where are we here? 17-8 on the season so far. So I haven't played tons of games. I haven't really had a lot of time to play tons of games this season yet. But I'm in high gold 2. I didn't get a chance to re-queue after that last Atzi game. I would have tried to jump back in the queue and get to gold 1 before the window closed for even more rewards, but no such luck. Still, plenty of time to push for gold 1 and hopefully through gold 1. I'm on a 3-game win streak right now, so if I can get a couple more wins in, it should be, you know, if you're getting 20 points or more per match, then maybe I can get to Langrisser in the next, 5 games, assuming I win. Well, there's no shame in being beaten to Langrisser by someone running 1 meme unit in the box. My Autocrato will be 6-star for next weekend, though, so I'm debating popping him back into that slot. That's his, that's originally his spot anyway. I do have Kruger, so I could put Kruger in as well, but Otto fits pretty nice in this box. Like, he is able to double as a physical tank if needed, and he also does have that really rangy opening AoE that can be pretty disruptive, and then my many assassins can kind of follow up on injured units. So I do like him in there. I did get to use Transcender a lot, though. That's the only nice thing about having him in the box, is that he's never banned. So I can pick him up 5th and maybe get some like weird plays off with him. Still, you saw him whiff a lot of kills in these matches, so it's debatable whether he's worth it even in that 5th slot. But yeah, I agree, he's my mascot, so it's nice to have him in the box. In the odd chance that he actually does do something really cool, then I can make a video about it, and it looks good having my famed Transcender actually doing something. But otherwise, he's a bit sketchy. So that's it for my review of last weekend's Apex matches. We got 8 matches in, we won 6 of them. We've got a 68% win rate, which is pretty good. I think this is one of my stronger seasons. So hopefully we'll keep that up and get to Langrisser next weekend. And hopefully keep it going for a spot in the playoffs in the next few weeks. Oh yeah, you'll be able to guarantee 5th pick Selvaria, unless people get antsy about, with a character like that, not knowing what she does, or being worried about her guard ignore, and banning her, you know, a bit later, like maybe 3rd or 4th banning her, just because they don't want to have to deal with having to read her skills. But yeah, I definitely predict you'll be able to get Selvaria deployed more often than not, so definitely let me know if you make any cool plays with her. Live streams after hitting Lang? Maybe, maybe not. I find them kind of stressful. I think I'll stick with my pattern of doing Apex reviews, and then I'll, of course, live stream the, Freekong matches. Which, obviously there are no stakes at all when you're playing Freekong, just because it's bronze and my units are ridiculous. So if I lose, it's often just as fun and just as funny as if I win. So yeah, I think the sooner I get to Lang, or the sooner I secure a playoff spot, that's just the sooner I can start playing, like devoting time to Freekong matches, which is hilarious. Usually I only do Freekong in like the last week of the Apex season because I slack off and I don't get myself a playoff spot until then. But this season, if I get there a little bit earlier, that gives me a few extra weekends of time to play Freekong just for fun. SP Grenier, any utility? I mean, SP Grenier is better than non-SP Grenier. I don't necessarily think that it makes SP Grenier like a great meta PvP unit, especially in this particular meta where people aren't relying on tanks as much as they used to, and he doesn't really have the ability to tank many of the meta threats that a tank would get used for. So for example, he doesn't have any anti-displacement, which is something that's important for Hilda. He doesn't really have any anti-crit or any other kind of aura to help his teammates whatsoever, so that's something that like Landius and Hilda and Christiane all get used for. Not just for taking hits, but also for making the other units in your team a little bit more assassin-proof. So, I mean, if you're up against a really traditional single-target team, like of not assassins and not mages, then SP Grenier can tank hits and take some damage and deal some counter damage. But given the fact that this current meta is mages like Lucretia and assassins, lots of assassins, it does make SP Grenier kind of about as useful as he is now, which is not very useful. Yeah, the most dope, that's true. They could have given him a bit more offensive utility, but at the same time, I don't think that it's a good, sustainable idea for them to look at the current meta and specifically design, like, SP upgrades to address that current meta. So I think sticking with what Grenier's design is as, like, a counterattack tank, I think it's good that they kind of doubled down on that, just from a unit design standpoint. He is interesting. And yeah, to your point, Freekong is definitely going to be SPing Grenier and probably still continuing to first pick Grenier. Why don't I just switch over to Freekong's account and take a look at this box? I'll do that right now. I actually don't have Freekong's box made, because most of my units aren't built yet. So this is what we've got temporarily for Freekong. And this, like I said, this is not super coherent yet, but we've got Grenier, who's super awesome. I was first picking Grenier just because he buffs, like, he's a tank and he buffs Glory, and I have a lot of, like, interesting Glory units in here. Well, interesting for Freekong. But with Isara, and I grinded the event a little bit on the first day just to get Isara, which is not usually a good idea, but I ran out of units to use Gates of Fate on, so I was literally just using Gates on, like, Cherie and Ainz, who are already 6-star, just to get their SSR shards for Memory Essence. So now I have another unit that I can use Gates of Fate on. The interesting thing about Isara is not that she's a tank, although that is semi-interesting. The interesting thing about her is that she's got AoE skills. So she can kind of run in with cavalry mobility and use an AoE skill and then move 3 blocks back. She's got Balance Blade, specifically for that reason. So I think what I'm probably going to do is pivot Freekong's box from, like, first pick Grenier, second pick one of these two, like, Glory box, that relies on weird assassins, like Matthew is an assassin in this box. Hashiba was able to do some interesting and surprising stuff. I think I'm going to probably pivot Freekong this season to trying to just blow things up with AoEs. And a part of that is because running AoEs can kind of compensate for not having the best Anarchy training. Running lots of AoEs also has an advantage against, like, bronze tier opponents, because they're kind of in the same boat as Freekong. Freekong probably has a bit of an advantage over other bronze tier opponents, just because I only have, like, 15 units that it's possible for me to build, whereas they have other SSRs that they can focus on and try to build, you know, like, other real units. So I've had to hyper-focus on a few units. So I do have, like, Lewin can AoE, Ainz obviously can AoE, and I've put a little bit of work into fixing my Ainz. I don't know if he has his real gear on right now. Yeah, no, he's not, like, actually geared up right now. With his real gear on, he looks a little bit better than this. And I wouldn't be running him as a demon either. Cherie is too good not to put in the box, even though she's not an AoE. She has that double action, she can ignore guard. She's one of the few SP units that Freekong actually has access to. I'll be switching my Matthew to an AoE. I'll have his, like, little summon, and I'll probably put another Balance Blade on him to be able to do a couple sword dances. Shibaraku kinda has an AoE built into his 3C. Isara, obviously, we saw her AoEs, and Varna is a unit that Freekong's actually able to build, so she facilitates AoE with her 3C. Hein is one of the few units that I was actually able to unlock the attack bond for. Most of my units that are bond locked by SSRs that I'm not allowed to summon, it's their attack bond that I can't unlock. But Hein has his attack bond. Like, you don't see Egbert in here for that reason. Egbert's attack bond is locked. Esterification, thank you for stopping by. Maybe we can have Scrim another time. So yeah, I've got Angelica in here because she can heal, and also because she faction buffs like half this box. So I'm kind of debating, maybe I want to like first pick Angelica in games with this box. Yeah, Loomis, my Sonya is fairly built for a Freekong unit. I think she's missing her attack bond as well. I forget. But Sonya, I was using Sonya earlier when I was running like assassin rush kind of strat, and she's good because I can actually buff her with Lance as well. So I have a good Lance. Lance brings a Empire faction buff, so he's able to buff like Hein, Vargas when I was running Vargas as my tank in here. So yeah, I dropped Lance for this kind of experimental AoE box just because I'm not running some of those units that Lance is needed to buff. But Parn is another unit that is not like super useful here. He's like another single target unit, so I might end up dropping him. Although I just got him to 6 stars, so he's a fresh SSR. He has good gear. He has decent stats for like a free guy. As a crossover unit, he's not bond locked at all, and I can faction buff him with Angelica, so I have him in here for this weekend just to see how he performs. And if he doesn't perform well, then I'll kick him out for someone else. But yeah, this is going to kind of be the weird AoE experiment Freekong box. And that's going to hinge on Isara as a kind of double like tank slash big AoE unit, and we'll see if she can actually do anything with it. Yeah, Freekong's definitely able to use the 999 day bag. The unfortunate thing about that is that because this account was only started when Lushiris Gate opened, it's not super old, it's just over 500 days old. So I've got another year before I can use that bag. But in a year, what I'm probably going to do is do like a YouTube community poll to see what SSR I'm allowed to pick. Although I'm strongly leaning towards someone like D-Heart for a couple of reasons. One is he unlocks attack bonds for like 7 of my units. And the other is that he would be another SP unit that I'd actually be able to build and use. So D-Heart's a pretty strong pick. But then there's also arguments to be made for almost any other SSR that would just be really useful, like, on their own. Like, Rose and Seal would be obviously super useful. I'm not going to get trolled into GNL because they were a unit that I was actually able to get free from an event, so I actually have those. Yeah, that's the other advantage. D-Heart was technically a free unit. Bozel is another technically free unit that would actually be pretty good for my account. Oh, Rosen's not an option. Ah, okay. Well, I guess that takes that temptation off the table. Bozel would be a good one. He unlocks a couple bonds for me. And Bozel is just, like, strong in his own right. But I think I'm leaning towards someone like D-Heart, personally. I mean, Elwyn would be another strong choice. He unlocks a couple bonds, and he's strong as well. We'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it, like, a year from now. We'll have a year worth of debates on this. I think D-Heart is probably the fairest pick, though, especially if I want to stay in keeping with, like, the Freekong tradition of freeness. Isn't this tank hilarious on the map? Yeah, it's too bad I couldn't get the free D-Heart. I really wish that they would, like, rerun some of those free SSR events. Like, if I could get, in the next year, if I could get Bozel for free on this account without having to waste the bag on it, that would be awesome. But I just don't see Zlong doing that stuff anymore. So, for the foreseeable future, we've got, hopefully, the free Kuwabara coming up from the Yu Yu Hakusho crossover, which not really going to help this account very much. And then the next crossover that would be in line for a rerun after that, if we keep doing reruns, would be Trails of Cold Steel. So the freebie from that was Altina, who again is not going to be a super useful one. So yeah, it's looking like old Freekong is not going to have many units to use Gates of Fate on for the foreseeable future. Unless we get really surprised by something. Anyways, I'm going to call it a night at that. Unfortunately, Freekong's win rate is kind of the mirror opposite of what main Kong's is. But I'll just leave this tantalizing here, knowing that in a couple weeks we're going to come out and start rolling a tank over some of these Bronze 3 opponents. Juicy. Can't wait to roll tanks over Bronze 3 opponents. It's fun to see how many, like, strong meta boxes you see in Bronze, though. Like, remember when I was doing my qualifiers on stream, and we were facing, like, good-looking boxes, like boxes that you would see on the main Kong stream. Some of them I was able to overcome with weird units like Hashiba, and others just kind of trounced me. But I don't think they're going to have a hope against this. The shelling is coming. Anyway, thanks for coming out and watching some Apex matches with me. Probably do the same thing next week. And obviously we're going to have my usual episode of Should You Summon coming up later this week. So I'll catch you all then. Happy Langrissing, everyone.